Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe. Click the subscribe button. When you subscribe, we'll be able to get across to other people, to benefit from the videos that will be sharing premium content around cybersecurity related matter and how to navigate cybersecurity, even as a newcomer or as an enthusiast, somebody that is just transitioning into cybersecurity. Not only that, you'll be able to have access to videos that will help you in your career journey in cybersecurity. So help us to propagate this and subscribe. Click the notification bell so that every time we upload new videos, you'll be able to get the notification that the new video is up, right? Subscribe and click the notification bell. Thank you. All right. So, few weeks ago, maybe like 1 month ago, I actually sat for Security Plus exam, and I passed at first sitting, right? And it was a very sweet experience, right? I just see that a lot of people believe that when you read the study guide, you will pass. I need us to understand that passing an exam goes beyond just reading or studying the study guide. Of course, whatever you'll be asked will be within the jurisdiction of the study guide, right? But there are tactics, there are strategies, there are techniques, right, that will help you to cut the long, story short and help you to achieve your aim on time. Strategies to help you pick, answer very quickly, right, and the rest of that. And that is the reason why we are here. That is what we are here to discuss. And then I have a few resources I'm going to be sharing with us. Part of that resource or those resources are apps that helped me. I mean, mobile application that helped me. Some, PDFs, material that helped me. Now, you know already that CompTIA Security Plus exam is a performance-based exam, right? Where scenario-based questions are being asked. Of course, we know what scenario-based is. That is, you'll be presented with a kind of short story as if something is happening, relating to somebody working in an organization as a security analyst or as an IT security officer, and then this and this and this happened. Scenario, right? Then you put yourself in the shoe of that analyst or the entity or the participant or the party involved, to make decision, right, according to the knowledge you have gathered. So you see that this is beyond just acquisition of knowledge. This is a practical application of knowledge. So if you don't understand some of the concepts and some of, the terminologies very well, you might not be able to actually know what works in what situation. You see, that scenario based. Then when we talk about performance based, you will be presented with a visual, like a graphical representation of a particular network, and then they will tell you to configure it, right? You will type and configure. You will type in the answer, like type in commands, configure routers, and the rest of that. And we are going to be trying that. I'm going to be doing demonstration. Of course, not in a simulated environment, but there is this material from InfoSec. Like, I think InfoSec is an organization that helps people. They train people on cybersecurity. They also do webinars on how you can, bring in people to webinars on how you can break into cybersecurity and other, cybersecurity related matters, right? Now, this resource, they actually created few questions that looks like a performance-based question, right? That looks like a performance-based question. So, and let me just tell you, this is not a dumb question. You know what dumps means? Like questions that I don't know how they normally get it. Questions that they get from a real exam. These are not We are ethical people. I will not do that, right? So these are just practice questions. Of course, some of them resemble, it is practice question because they, they show you the way, almost the way the real question is set, but they are not actual questions, right? We are going to be doing that. Then I have a co-host that will be doing this together, like another speaker that will be joining me. Nanbaan is a cybersecurity specialist, right? And she actually passed the Security Plus exam before I wrote my own, right? So she also shared some tips that really helped. So she'll be joining us very soon. She's running late. She'll be joining us very soon. So I want to show us something, right, before we move, from the form that was put out for people to register. I want to show us something. Then from there, we'll just start from there and then we'll move. And then I'll be asking a few questions. It will be very interactive. I'll be asking a few questions, and then I'll be, sharing my screen, going through. Then I'll also be sharing a resources that I used myself, like a study notes. And it's not handwritten, and I didn't type it out. I got it. I actually highlighted key points that really helped me in the exam. I highlighted it, in the official material that I used, to study. I'm going to be sharing that with us. So it means that whatever you want to, study, it will be from the official guide, but I have already highlighted points and phrases, terminologies, portions that really helped me, to pass the exam. So it will be very easy for you to just navigate through and then, just begin to make your notes from there. So it is going to be a very wonderful experience. So let's just dive right into it. Just give me a second. The next speaker is saying she does not have the link. So let me see if I can get it across to her. Yeah. Just give me a few minutes, few seconds. All right. So yes, so I know that some of us have already started studying. Very good. And my first advice is this before I share my screen. Let me see. Okay, this is what I want to show us. So before I share my screen, my first advice is this. Do not think that there is shortcuts to passing the exam. My advice is make sure you go through all the chapters, all the modules in the official, that is if you have, of course, Professor Mesa video, we will share that too. But the official, everything that was set or that will be set for you, that was set for me, was from the official guide, right? It was from the official guide. So make sure that you at least cover the official guide, like you read through, you go through it, right? And the reason being that even when you are done with it, it will be a very good experience where you will accumulate a lot of knowledge, so that when you go for interviews, right, it will not just be that you pass an exam and you cannot defend the exam. There's nothing they want to ask me now. I will be able to say one or two. Of course, I might not be able to put it the way it was put in the official guide, right? But I will be able to answer because I didn't just, watch some random videos. I didn't just do some few practice, questions. I went through and you will see it when I share the official guide I used. You will see highlights in every chapter, every section. I make sure I went through everything, right? That sponsors your knowledge, and then that helps you to understand scenario-based question, and then from the knowledge you have gathered based on that domain that they are asking the scenario-based question, you'll be able to pick your answer based on your understanding and the knowledge that, see, there is a connection between your mind, your eyes, and what you read, right? There is a connection. See, even if you don't, even if it is that you just skim through, right? You just skim through. Some things we still register that when you are asked a question, your unconscious mind will still try to, pinpoint. I don't know if somebody is getting this. So this is the advantage of going through all the chapters in the official guide, so that you don't just see this masterclass as a way of escaping going through the official guide, right? So this masterclass will only add to the knowledge you have gathered from the official guide. It will also help you to apply the knowledge from the official guide. It will not, excuse me, right? It will not take away the fact that you need to study the official guide, right? All right, so let me share my screen. I think what I want to show you is ready. All right, my partner is here. Nanbaan is here. Nanbaan, I think Nanbaan entered now. Yeah, Nanbaan is here. Nanbaan, if you can hear me, unmute and show your face. Introduce yourself to the audience. Nanbaan, if you can hear me.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to our masterclass. I can't show you my face. I'm sorry.
What happened? You want to see your face? All right, Nanbaan, just introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you everyone for being here. My name is Nanbaan. I'm a cybersecurity student and a budding professional. I'm so glad to be here with you guys. I took my Security Plus in August, and it's one of the best decisions I ever made. So thank you all for being here. I hope we get what we're looking for out of this session. I trust it's going to be an amazing one.
All right, Nanbaan, thank you. Nanbaan, please, if it is to go and freshen up, we want to see your face. I'm recording this. We need to see your face. All right, so let me quickly share what I want to share. Where is it? Yeah. All right. Can you all see my screen? Can you see my screen? Please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right. So yeah, this is what I want to show you. Yeah. So this is what I want to show you. Have you registered for CompTIA Security Plus exam? Now look at the registration. This is the registration, back end, right? So now 88 people who registered, right? 83% of 100% of people that registered said no. 14 people said yes. Now some other people said booking for next year and the rest of that. So now I understand that you have to pay. This is not a free certification and the rest of it. But what I want to say is this: if you have not registered, now there is this. We are human beings and we are emotional beings, right? We respond to external stimulus. There are some things that stimulate our actions and our reactions. Now, if you have not registered for the exam, the drive and the force to prepare adequately for the exam will not be there. I don't know if somebody is getting me. I'm just using this as it's part of those things, right? The drive and the force, that drive to say, I've not registered, so let me just slow down, right? But if you have registered and you have set a date and say this date is the date I'll be doing this exam, that will drive you. It will sponsor your, even when you are tired, you just want to go through some stuff. You just want to read, even if not much, because you know that there is a so we are human beings. So this kind of thing puts us on the track, puts us on the spot to actually go for. It's just like saying you have a goal set. You set a goal, right? And you're looking at it at this date. I'm writing this exam. So if you have not registered here, I know you need funds, right? If you have not registered here and the issue is not fund, please immediately after the class, the master class, go and register and put a date. Don't deceive yourself. Like myself, I don't deceive myself. Whatever date that will not work for me, I will not put it. Look at it. Can I prepare within 3 months? Oh, all right. I'm a working class, right? I can't prepare within 1 month. I can prepare within 3 months. I can set the date and then have a plan. Have a plan. All right. I'm always tired when I come back from work. When I'm going, if you're in Nigeria, you are always in traffic. Nigerians will understand what I mean. You're always in traffic, right? And the rest of it. Use that time, right? Use that time, that traffic time, right? Use it to actually go through, just to meet your goals, right? So that is my 1 cent that I want to share. That's the reason why I shared this, right? All right. So, all right. So that is that. Now, CompTIA Security Plus is a very easy exam if you prepare very well, right? If you prepare adequately, it's a very easy exam. Now, what are the strategies for preparation, right? Strategies for preparation. Number 1, make sure that, I'm already dropping them. Number 1, there's no slide. Number 1, make sure that you have the official guide in place. Number 2, make sure that before you even start the official guide, you already have the, what's it called now? The exam objective. And I will show us what I mean now. Don't worry, at the end of, before we end the class, I'm going to be dropping the link to all the resources. We have put it in a Google Drive, free of charge. You'll be able to access it. Whatever I show you here, whatever resources I use as an example here, everything is in it, and we will drop it here that you can have access to it, including my personal study notes that I told you that I highlighted in the official guide I used to study every of the chapter, like 22 chapters. I highlighted every, key points, in relation to all the practice tests that I've done and the kind of question they asked, right? So number 1, you get an official study guide. Number 2, you get the exam objectives. The exam objectives maps each of the domain to to different chapters that they are and the way they follow each other. So they follow the way, it was hierarchically. So I'm going to be sharing that. Thank you. All right. I'm going to be sharing my screen now. Let me see. Where's my drive? Okay, let me just go to my drive and then I would share my screen. I want to show us the exam objective, and then I will show us the official study guide that I used and the way I've highlighted and the rest. And I would show you some of the ways you can actually interact with the official guide that will help you to assimilate easily. And then few tips before I give Nanbaan the mic to share experience and some of the things. Then I will come back also share how you can actually answer questions correctly, and then I will do a demo on performance based. We will try to configure, of course, I said there's no simulated environment, so everything will be on paper, but you will see what I'm saying. We'll try to see how we can configure a router, a firewall, and do some other stuff, right, that you will actually meet in the exam as like a similitude of what you will meet in the exam. All right. Okay, just give me a second. Sharing my screen. The exam objective. Yes, this is the exam objective. All right. Let me see if I can hook on preview. All right, it's previewed. So let me see if we can share. All right. Confirm you can see my screen.
Positive.
Yes.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Just give me a second. All right, so this is the exam objective. All right, this is the exam objective, right? So for the CompTIA 601, so look at this. Let me see if I can increase the. How many of us have seen this document? If you have interacted with this document before, let me see.
Yes.
How many of us? All right, great. So for the sake of the people, the ones that have not interacted with it before, let's see. All right, so now you see the different domains, right? Attack threat, vulnerability, architecture, implementation, operations, governance, risk, and compliance. Right, these are the domains. So look at this. All right, so these are the different chapters within each domain, right? Now, if you look at this exam objective, you'll be scared. You'll be scared that this is too much for you to actually know, or for you to say you want to assimilate and then have all these things in your head and the rest of that, right? But don't be afraid. Huh? Don't be afraid. If you have a good study plan, right, you'll be able to cover everything and even be master in every of the domain, right? You'll be a master in every of the domain, right? So this is the exam objective. This is everything you are expected to know by the end of the day when you want to write the exam, right? So I have another document that shows the different, let me see if I can share that. Just give me a sec. Let me see. I can't get that. There's another document we have. All right, this is loading. What do I do? Shit. Okay, this is taking forever to load, right? I'm opening the official guide. I want to show us some things I talked about. Okay, so while that is loading, right, let me just continue. Now, the official guide is very important. You go through it, and then the exam objective, you need to understand it and know what each of the, each of the chapters within each of the domain contains. Every keywords and concept matters. Every keyword and concept matters. It is your understanding of the concepts that will sponsor the accurate, your choice of picking accurate answer, right? So because it is scenario based, right, it will require that you have a very good understanding of each concept. So one concept might just be asymmetric cryptography or asymmetric encryption, right? But you will see questions that are like 8 lines, and then the answer is just asymmetric, right? So if you do not know the difference between asymmetric and symmetric, you do not know the different characteristics of each of these concepts, you might not be able to pick accurate answer to question, right? You might not be able to pick accurate answer to question. Then another thing that you can also do to prepare well is practice questions, engaging practice questions. So I know that some of us might not have had the opportunity, right, to get the official practice questions based on the price and the rest, but there are few here. Let me see. This is loading for. Let me see if I can open it in the system and then share my screen. Give me a second. The set. All right, I think the official guide is up. I want to show you some things Best way to prepare with the official guide. Best ways. All right. So we have your official guide open. Let me. This really worked. Sincerely, you can try it. This really worked. Right? This really worked. So I know some of us, we are very conversant with, taking notes. Of course, you can take notes, but there is this interaction that your mind has with whatever that you see, right? When you highlight stuff, it gives your mind a kind of way of saying, I'm emphasizing this. I'm emphasizing this. So you get. So let me just show you my screen. Can you see my screen?
We can, but it's blank. Nothing is showing.
Oh, nothing is showing. Oh, all right. Let me stop. All right. You can see my screen now, right?
Yes.
Just give me a sec. All right. So this is what I'm saying, right? Now look at this. This is topic 1A under the first domain, right? Attacks and the rest of that. Comparing security rules and the rest, right? Lesson 1, topic 1A. See, look at this. Now, this is what really worked for me, right? It really worked for me. And you can try it out, right? You might not have the luxury of time. It takes time. And you agree with me that it takes time to say you want to take a pen, most especially if you're a working class. If you're somebody, you work, and most of the times that you have to study or to go through the material is maybe in your car, or maybe on transit and the rest. So the best way to actually effect the same result when you jot down in a separate note is to highlight the material, the PDF, right? This is a digital, highlight. So that highlight will give your brain a kind of message that you are laying emphasis on this, and then it will register to your brain, right? So you see, so my highlight, you see that I'm not highlighting everything from here to here now, like from here to here. I did not highlight everything. So what I did was to highlight the key. When I read through, now the key points and what really matters in that place. So there are some certain paragraphs that explain some certain definitions, right? So that one you can just read through, of course, just read through to grasp what they are trying to talk about. But the one that matters that you will apply in the examination, you can just highlight them out, just the way I did. It works, like really worked. It really worked, right? You see, secure information has 3 properties, right? CIA triad and this. So in my mind, this is registered there. So anytime there is a scenario-based question or there's a question that relates with this, I just search through my mind. Oh, these are part of the things that I highlighted, when I was studying this, and this. It will come naturally, right? So this will actually cut the time that you have to say you want to start jotting, because some of us might not even have that time to say, oh, I want to get a pen, I want to get a jotter and start jotting. Then you now start writing. That will even take more time. You see, this is a strategy that, gives you, it cuts time and gives you very accurate way of, effecting the same result when of jotting down. You see, and I did this throughout the whole document because I went through everything. You see, I did that throughout the whole document. Now, if you are using the official study guide, please give attention to the review activities. It is very key. Give attention, because the questions you'll be interacting with in the examination will come in this form. You see, a multinational, this is a purely scenario-based question. A multinational company manages a large amount of value, intellectual property, IP data, plus personal data for its customer and account holders. What type of business units can be used to manage such important and complex security requirements? Do you see this? You see this? You see this? Right? You see? Now, the
yes.
answer to this question, you have a question?
No,
Somebody
I don't.
say,
I was affirming that I'm seeing your screen.
great, great. So now the answer to this question now is just a 3-letter word. Security Operation Center. Look at the question. How many lines? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 lines. The answer to it is just 3 words. Right? So it will take you to understand, to know the definition of each of the concepts that have been discussed, and how you can actually register that in your subconscious mind and your conscious mind is when you highlight those key those key definitions, and then you emphasize them in your mind, right? So that will sponsor your giving accurate answer to scenario-based question like this. You see this? So this part review activity actually helps you to understand how scenario-based questions are being asked, because that is the form that most of the review activity questions have. Now, there are questions that you get, practice questions that different organizations, different initiatives, they create just to portray how the question is. Of course, they will help you. But I believe that there is an app that we will still talk about later that really, the app really showcased how the questions are. Like, it was a lifesaver for me, and it was Nanbaan that introduced me after she passed the exam. She will be talking about it. I will also add some stuff, and then the link is going to be in the drive that we will share. Please, every one of us should go and download the app. You don't need to pay. Of course, there is a premium feature where you can pay and get more questions, but you don't need it. I didn't pay, she didn't pay. We only used the questions that were made available, and that was what we used, right? So now this will give you, like a grasp of what it is. You see, and then another thing I want to share is when you're using the official guide, another tip is make comments. Make comments in your own understanding. Anything that hits you hard, that you see that, oh, this thing enters my body, you can just, where you have highlighted, put comment there, and then just what do you understand about it, your insights and the rest of that. Make comments like this, and then that really helps, because when you make comments, that also sponsors your retentive memory to be able to remember that what they're asking for, I actually made a comment when I was studying, right? I don't know if somebody is getting these things, right? So yeah, so this is it. I'm going to be sharing this. So of course, this will help you. I've highlighted a few stuff. You see that sometimes I even highlight in between. I leave some part out. I highlight is the way it eats, and the way when you put them together, they make sense, right? Let's look at this detective. The way I highlighted it. This is the control may not prevent or deter access, but it will. Now, from here, they are saying what the control will not do, of course, right? But I want to know what the control will actually do, right? So, of course, I've seen this. I went through it. So, of course, it will still register in my mind, but not as these that I've emphasized. So this says identify. So it means that detective control will identify and record any attempted or successful intrusion. I have that in my mind. Any scenario-based question that comes that requires this is what comes. What detective is not will not come to my mind. What it is what will come to my mind, because you will have several options. So if you have, from your option, you have preventive, you have detective, you have corrective. Now, the fact that you know what corrective can do, you know what detective can do, and you know what preventive can do, we actually save you a lot of stress to do elimination factor or elimination method. So in there, you know that based on the scenario-based question that have been asked, this and this is what detective control function can do, right? That eliminates every other option in that question. I don't know if somebody gets this. So this is a very powerful way of using the official study guide, right? A very good, powerful way of using the official study guide. So let's come back. All right, let me come back and stop sharing my screen. All right, so don't worry, you get that material also. You get that material. Now, before I call Nanbaan on, I want to quickly share what's time now. This is 7. Wow, 7:46 just now. I want to show us another. Should I download it? Okay, all right. So let me do it like this. I've shared a few of my experiences about scenario-based questions, how you can go about it, how you can pick, accurate answers to scenario-based question, how you can use I've shared a lot of tips on how you can use the official guide, and the exam objectives, how you can go through it and see, oh, what are the things I needed to know, every key concepts and every terminologies that I need to know. When it comes to phishing, it is from the exam objective you will see under phishing, what are the types of phishing I need to know, right? There are so many types of phishing, right? Phishing, but there are particular types that are within the exam objective. You need to know those ones. There are exact ones that are within. So farming, squatting, typo, squatting, and the rest of that, baiting and the rest. You might see baiting, you might not see baiting. You might see typo, squatting, you might not. So what exactly is within the jurisdiction of the official guide? That is what the exam objective will help you to focus on. And so when you go through you don't just read and just mumble, knowledge together, and then at the end of the day, they do not help you. The goal is to, number one, of course, acquire knowledge, and number two, learn the practical way of applying the knowledge to pass the exam, and also to be able to apply it on the job, right? So I'm going to be calling on Nanbaan now to share her experiences and how she prepared for the exam, what she actually did, some of the materials she also used, and some of the tips. And then after that, we are going to go right into performance-based, right? We're going to go right into performance-based question. We're going to be doing a bit of configuring router on paper and configuring WPS, wireless, WAAP, wireless access points, and the rest of that. So Nanbaan, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Segun. So I studied for my Security Plus in about 6 months total. And if there's one thing I can say is, people always say diversify your study, don't use one material. Or if you want to pass the exam, sometimes you need to be very peculiar. I'm not saying you should use just official CompTIA materials. I'm saying if you're focusing on one material, just see yourself through it. And one mistake I think people make generally, especially in the tech field, is we start with something and then we leave it hanging and we see another thing that looks good and then we move on to it. And that was one of the reasons why I delayed my exams, apart from the fact that I didn't register on time. It was because I didn't feel ready. I didn't feel ready because I would start learning here and then the next minute I'm seeing another thing flashy and then I'll move on to the other one and I'll feel like I don't know what is there. But by the time I understood that, you needed to fall through with certain materials before you could feel prepared. I never really felt prepared. I think the day before my exam, I rescheduled it, and you have to, like, if it's, I think, 24 hours to your exam, you can't reschedule again. I'm not sure about that, but I think that's how it is. So I had like 1 hour left to like bring it back to the next day, and I just told myself, you must write this exam last, and then I had moved it 1 week further, so before my time was up, I moved it back to the time that I was supposed to write it. That's when I was sure. So I used Jason Dion's practice questions from Udemy. He has this he has 6 practice questions that are like a simulation of the real exam. It's timed, and then you can get to answer all the questions. If you're not done, it will just submit for you. And people say it is harder than the real exam, and I think that's true. It's actually harder than the real exam. And they say if you are able to have 80% in his exams, then you are sure that you can pass the exam. I also used my very first material was the Get Certified Get Ahead book by Daryl Gibson. So that book was my go-to material. I think it was my favorite material amongst everything that I used, because it was very interesting and it made the learning experience very fun for me. While most books were like long and wordy, I think it was very I think it was very easy for me to read that book, because Daryl Gibson, well, may he so rest in peace. I mean, he passed on last month or 2 months ago, but he made the book really interesting by, he gave out rewarded examples from his own professional experience. It was like he was telling a story while writing the book. And he wasn't just writing about, cybersecurity, giving terms and giving like examples. It was more like it was more like a story of his professional experience, and he even blended a mix of humor to help retain information. So I didn't really get bored studying. The book contains like a pre-test at the beginning and then a final assessment at the end. So in the beginning, when you're walking in, feeling yourself, I'm ready to take the exam, or I'm just ready to start studying. You take the test and then you see where you are. You see I think it's over, I'm not sure, but you see where the level that you're at, and then you see where you need to improve, because it covers all the domains. And you now start reading the book, and at the end of the book, at the end of every chapter, there's a small quiz. At the end of the book, there's a main assessment, which is also very interesting. And what I loved about the book is that it contained a detailed explanation of all the answers and why they were correct and why they were incorrect, which goes the same for Jason Dion's courses as well. When you answer the questions, it gives you like the correct answer and then an explanation of why it is correct. Same as the book, it gives a detailed explanation of why this answer is correct and why the rest of them are incorrect. And that's also very important for retaining knowledge. So at a point in time, I watched Professor Meta's YouTube videos, but that was like long before I registered for my exam. But I believe it was instrumental to my progress, because I was reading, and then reading gets boring. And I know all of us go through the same thing. So I was reading, and then when I got stuck at a certain point, I'll just go on Professor Meta's YouTube. And it was one interesting thing about his was, he designed his series in order of the exam objectives. For the book, it's like a whole glossary of cybersecurity terms and cybersecurity knowledge. So it wasn't like arranged in the order of the exam objectives. So I recommend that book for people that are writing the exam and people that are just really wanting to break into cybersecurity. But for Professor Mester's YouTube, it was like arranged in the order of the objectives for the exam, just for you to know enough for the exam. So he didn't really do past, the exam knowledge, and then he didn't do less of it. In fact, he actually did. He covered everything. He covers everything that is going to be in the exam. And I used it mostly when I needed clarification from what I was doing. So I think one thing I learned was you should stuff like Segun said, just make comments. Comments are important because they are short and they are concise, and honestly, they help you retain knowledge. By the time you want to take in everything, you want to write down everything, and you end up giving a worthy or a lengthy note, it's just going to be hard and slower for you to come back and read it and enjoy it or understand what you were writing before. It's like going through the whole material over and over again. And ensure that you know your acronyms. Like, I cannot overemphasize this one. I heard it before I wrote the exam. I didn't take it for granted, but I saw it during the exam and I faced it. I mean, CompTIA is all about acronyms. Make sure you know the meaning of acronyms, especially in cybersecurity. I know there are a lot. I know that there are a lot to take acquainted with them. Some of these materials help you to keep them in your mind because they emphasize on them a lot, and then you see them recurring in different for how I answered the questions, especially scenario-based questions. Majority of the questions were scenario-based questions, and when I started studying, I didn't exactly like it because I felt it was like so much in a question for just a little answer. But I think that is how CompTIA was able to help us assimilate and then understand what we were actually doing. So I'm going to use an example with threats and vulnerabilities. Now, in threats and vulnerabilities, I personally found that there was more emphasis on social engineering. I don't know why. I don't know if it was peculiar to me or other people that wrote the exam, but social engineering was actually a big deal during my exam. I could say it was everywhere. And you see phishing, you see shoulder surfing, dumpster diving, all these words. You have to know them and how they work. You have to know the types of attacks as well. You have to know malware, worms, trojans, rootkits, etc. And then the purpose of the attack, because they will not just ask you what is a malware, like it's not possible, or dash is a malware. That's not CompTIA standard. CompTIA will give a scenario-based question that tells you, okay, an employee was doing something with a purpose of getting back at his previous employers. Now, what was his motive, or what could you categorize this kind of attack as? That is how their questions come along. So if you're reading about the attacks now, you have to know what the attack is, the purpose of the attack, and what the attack is doing as well. Is it specific to the network? Is it specific to the application, etc.? Now, if you're talking about threats, you have to know the motivation for the threat. So is it political? Is it financial? Is it from your haters? Is it from your employees? Is it from family? Is it from friends? It was very important. And then where they get their information from is also as important. Now, these are just examples of how they are able to build up their scenario-based questions, because they won't just go straight to the point and ask you as you read it. It's always cutting around the corner, entering the bush, and then asking you, okay, if you were in a situation like this, what could you categorize this as? So you need to be able to break down and explain all the vulnerabilities. What are the vulnerabilities of the crowd? What are the vulnerabilities you find in a brand new application? There's just a way you have to link together the knowledge that you have gotten. And I feel this is just CompTIA's way of letting us retain the knowledge that we have. Because in most cases, people study exams just to pass the exams, just to know that I have the certification. But CompTIA standard is interesting because it is done in such a way that, you cannot pass the exam and tell me that you did not know what you studied, because your study is intense and it's in such a way that you're able to retain the knowledge. I think I also found good emphasis on pen testing. So the way I read it was, you look at security in layers, and it's basically how many layers do I have to get past, or what kind of work do I have to do to get into my particular target, or what I'm targeting. And it was very interesting how the reading went. It was very interesting how the questions were structured. And at the end of the day, the exam seemed simpler than I envisioned it. I don't know whether it was because of the many materials I used, but I think it was because I was able to dig deep and read well. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just 90 questions at most. For me, I had 72 questions, I think, or 82. I didn't even have up to 90 questions. So it's going to cover all the fields, but the important thing is that you have to know every little detail. And if you feel like you're going to skip on something because someone said, this is not important, you end up missing out. Like me, I tried my best to cover the whole course compact. I tried my best to cover all the objectives for it. And at the end of the day, I didn't see one question on ports. And I was very angry because I had memorized my ports so much. I knew all their functions, all the services and everything. I didn't see one question on port. But when I came out, I realized that there were actually questions on them, but I didn't notice them because they came in, in a different scenario. They didn't say, okay, what was running on port 443 or what was running on port 23. It was basically stories, then asking, okay, what service was actually running, or what it was just around the corner. And I found the exam very interesting. Generally, I passed with a score of 7. What? Oh my god. Okay. Anyway, I found the learning interesting. I found the exam very interesting as well. There was like a lot of tension at first, but I was happy I went for it. And then, okay, the app that Segun was talking about, I found it the day before my exam, and it was a lifesaver until date. When people ask me, what material should I use, I always try not to forget to tell them to use the app, because I had questions that looked very similar to the questions that came out during the exam that I'd seen on the app. And the title of the app is CompTIA Security Plus by Daryl Gibson. He's also the author of the Get Certified, Get Ahead book that I said was my #1 material. You can get it on Play Store, and then I think you can get it on App Store. But basically, it gives you like a simulation of the exam environment, not exactly as it is, but it's also timed. And then the questions come, you select your answer, and then changes the question. The questions were very similar to the exam questions. By the time I was writing it, I felt like I was actually seeing, what I had read the night before. And overall, I enjoyed the exam. It was not as hard as I thought it would be. So the best advice I'd give is just concentrate and then dig into the materials, especially the exam objective. If you can cover the exam objective from front to back, from the beginning to the end, there's nothing I think you'd be able to miss out on during the exam. So thank you very much. Please, if you have any questions, you can add it in the comment section.
All right, thank you so much, Nanbaan. All right, yeah, so that's Nanbaan for you. Very articulate, insightful young woman. All right, if you have questions for her, just drop it in the comment section. So we want to go to the performance-based. We will still have interactive session where I would open the floor for anybody that wants to say something. They can go ahead and say it. The performance-based. So we just take 1 or 2 questions, and then maybe like another 3. But basically, this is an advice from me. Go and learn how to configure a firewall very well, like very well. Go and learn how to configure a firewall very well. Go and learn how to implement ACO, access control list, right? Go and learn how to implement access on control list. Go and learn, go and get yourself familiar with different network architecture. Well, simple, of course, simple ones, LAN. And yeah, majorly LAN. They won't really bring anything that will be too much for you. They won't bring you are not doing networking. You are not doing basically majorly networking. So it will not be something that is very, very like robust that you now be racking your brain. It will be something simple, but as simple as it is, it can be very tricky, right? Then go and learn how to, go and learn cables, the way it works, load balancer, and all those stuff. So let me just see. Let me see. I can share my screen. I will show you. Don't worry. The resources, you will get links to it. Even this PDF I want to share with you, right? That really helped me for the performance based, because it really gave me like an oversight, or yeah, oversight of foresight, not oversight now. Foresight. That's the word. A foresight of what I'm going to be meeting in the exam. Yes, yeah, that's what I meant. Thank you. Yes. So let me just share my screen. Great. All right. Can we see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Just give me a second. Sorry about that. All right. All right. So okay. So let's just start. This is firewall. This is an example. All right. We'll look at the question. We'll look at the answer together, and this will really help you. Okay. So this is a question about firewall, right? You know, rules. You know, configuring firewall and the rest of it. So this is not how you look in the exam. This is just like a similitude of what you are going to see in the exam. But getting familiar with this will really help you understand the architecture, the design, the network design, and then understand what is the data flow from what network appliances to what network appliances. So what rule am I applying to a certain communication between a certain network appliance and a certain, you see everything here. So let's say this is a web server that has, this is a connection, a network connection, a very simple network connection. This is like, we can call it like a LAN, a simple LAN that is connected to the internet, right? This is not a WAN, this is not a MAN, this is just local area network. But of course, it is connected to the internet. So let's see. It said, what rules should be added to the firewall to allow traffic to the web? You see, allow traffic. You know, you need to read question with understanding. What rules? So you know that you are configuring this with certain rules, firewall rules. Now, should be added to the firewall to allow traffic to web server. So you know that what they are trying to say is either the web server is somewhere and a traffic is coming from a particular source to the web server. So automatically the web server becomes the destination for the data flow or the traffic, which will be serving both secured. You know, when they say something is secured using a traffic, a web server, they are talking about the services that run on port 443. That is why Nanbaan mentioned it. See, it can never be overemphasized as this exam is concerned. You must know your port as if you must know it very well. Port and port numbers are the services that run on each of the ports, right? You must know it like the back of your hand, like the front of your hand. You must know ports and port number. So here, we are still reading the question to understand, right? It's because I'm explaining. I won't take this long if I'm reading normal question. So he said both secured, meaning when we say something is secured, we are talking about a service, a web, a web service that runs on port 443, HTTPS, right? And unsecure, port 80, HTTP, web pages in the diagram below. So this is the web server, this is the IP address of the web server, this is the firewall to configure, this is the firewall you want to configure, this is the internet. So what they are saying is that you are configuring this firewall to allow traffic from the internet through to the web server. So this is where you are putting whatever you want to put. So they give you an instruction that you use an asterisk to indicate any. So it means that if you are saying any traffic, any kind of traffic that is coming, right, you use asterisk. If you say any kind of IP address that is coming from anywhere, you use asterisk. So here is where you define what rule it is, whether it is allow or deny, right? So let's check the answer. Look at this. Look at this. Now, TCP, UDP, you need to also know what kind of protocol is running as touching the kind of service that runs on the port that you are referencing, right? So this is, I think, and that falls on layer 4, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, layer 4. Layer 4 of the OSI model layer. So now this is TCP, this is TCP, because TCP, you need to understand what TCP is, you know. TCP is a reliable connection, right? UDP is non-reliable, right? And UDP is good for, you know, when you are streaming, you have a data you want to send on real time, right? You know, they don't need connection. They don't need to acknowledgement of three-way handshake the way TCP needs it. You know, all this basic knowledge of networking and the rest. This helps you to be able to give accurate, you know, answer to some of these questions, right? So based on the question, they said we should allow traffic from the internet to both covers that both the secure and the unsecure. So automatically we know that in this rule we are allowing. So we are using the allow command or rule, you know, to configure the router. So it's TCP, of course, because the connection is a reliable one and it follows the three-way handshake, you know, connection mechanism, right? So they said source IP. So because they said allow traffic, they didn't specify from which IP address to which IP address. They just say allow traffic. So whatever system, whatever device that is connected to the internet that wants to connect to the web server, whatever IP address they have, we use asterisk. It means any IP address at all should be able to connect. Port source, any port that is coming from should be able to connect. What is the destination? It is the web server. You put the destination there. Then what is the destination port? You put the port. You see, this is a very simple diagram. But as simple as it is, in the exam, it will not be like this three diagram like this. You see a full-blown diagram, of course, that will not be too complex, but you still need to understand what is connected to what. You need to understand subnetting, like what zone is what network devices belonging to, you know, what zone, what subnet, so that you don't just throw IP addresses into anywhere that you like. You are not looking at the architecture, the design. You are not looking at the zoning. You are not looking at the subnetting to see what is going on, to be able to ascertain what IP address should I use for what purpose, right? So this gives like a sneak peek of what it is. Firewall, you see, they give many examples so that you know that, of course, firewall, it is likely for you to see a configuration that we have to do with firewall. So this is another one. What rules should be added to the firewall to allow traffic to the allow? You already know the rule set. Keywords matters. Firewall, we are configuring a firewall. To the mail server below, you see POP, post office protocol 3, internet message access protocol 4, right? But you know, now what they said is assume that only internal clients. See, another, you know, thing you need to take note of the instruction. They said only internet clients. So here you know that already it is not just any, right, any IP address or any host that will connect to POP3 and POP4. It must be host within the internet network. It has been zoned. So this is the internet network that has been zoned out, right? It is only this internet network that will be able to whatever device or host that is, you know, within the internet network that will be able to connect to the mail server. They don't say, but everyone can connect to the SMTP, you know, everyone can send SMTP traffic, right? So it means that when you get to where you are supposed to define whatever, you know, port where SMTP traffic services run, you have to put the port number of that. So let's check the answer here. Right, look at this. Said allow, deny, allow, because of course the instruction is to allow traffic, right? So from here, from the question, they said, you know, we should, the firewall to allow traffic to the mail server. Now they said, assuming that only internal clients will be connecting. Now, but every other traffic, SMTP traffic that is sent should be able to like go through. So come here. You see here now, TCP, we have source IP address, any, right? After it means any IP address can send from any port that they want to the destination, this destination, that is the mail server, right? Then on port 25, so port 25 represents SMTP. Port 25 represents SMTP. So it means that when SMTP traffics are coming, there won't be any blockage, because the firewall already has given the command that any SMTP traffic that's coming from any source, from any host, will be able to come through into the mail server. Now look at this. So only the host within the internal network, look at this, will be able to connect to port 3 and IMAP4. So it means that if you are sending from outside, from the internet now, from here, from the internet here, if you are sending anything that looks like port 3 from the internet, it means that the firewall on your behalf will deny access, because the only access, the only subnet that we allow, ranges of IP addresses that we allow or hosts that we allow, is within the jurisdiction of the internal network, which has been defined in the source IP. So every other thing will be dropped. Every other traffic from any other host that is not within this internal network will be dropped. These are the things that you will do even when you get a job or you are working. Of course, some of us here are working already in an organization. These are the things you'll be configuring. So this is just to test how much of the understanding of some of these configurations that you know from, or you have from the material and the rest. Of course, I know that when you study materials and the rest of things like that, they might not be able to teach you this. And that is why you should watch videos of Professor Mesa and other materials that, Nanbaan has recommended. Official material, you might not see some of these things. Of course, they would tell you about firewall, they would tell you about diagrams like this, come on, is not there. But they will tell you what it is if you want to configure, if you want to write rules and the rest of them. But except if you get the official what's it called now, their official lab. I also interacted with that for a few months before it got expired, right? The official lab, the lab environment for CompTIA, some of these things are being implemented, right? Don't worry, you will get this document as part of. Now look at this. I talked about wireless access points. Learn how to configure wireless access points. Of course, in the exam, you will not see questions like this, but you see something that looks like this. I saw a lot of stuffs, non-disclosure agreements. So I won't tell you what exactly I saw, but I saw a lot of stuffs, that you need to configure, right? And these are just similitude of some of those things. Radios and the rest, right? Okay, let's just go through this one, then we'll open the floor for questions, right? The engineering team has asked you to set up a wireless access point for them so that only those people who know about the network, our network, would be able to connect, right? They want everyone to log into our WAP for the password to log into the wireless network. What changes to the following configuration screen would need to be made to implement this? Now, for you to be able to actually understand and then configure this very well, you need to actually read and study the wireless access point aspect of the official guide or whatever video you are listening to understand each of these security modes. They are very key. When you use WPA Enterprise, what does it mean? When you use WPA2 Enterprise, what does it mean? When you use WPA2 PSK, pre-shared key, what does it mean? TKIP, what does it mean? You know, all these things, you need to understand them so that when you are faced with performance-based question like this, you know what to click, you know what to, the options that to put, the configurations to make, if it is wireless equivalent privacy that you want to pick, or wireless protected access, or any of this that you want. And then acronyms, very important, acronyms. If you don't know what wireless equivalent WEP is, pre-shared key, if you don't know all those things, you just be looking because you don't understand, you don't even know it, right? These are very key. And so let's see the answer. So from the question, they said the engineering team has asked you as their information security specialist to set up a wireless access point for them so that only the people who know about the network, our network, you see, the SSID that will be broadcasted, or that they will broadcast now within the internet network. It will not be broadcast so that outsiders will see it. I don't know if you get that. Read the question again. You know, ask you that only those people who know about. So it means that it should not be broadcasted to the public. You see, broadcast SSID said no, because from the instruction they said those who know it within the internet network, right? Then they said they should be able to use login to our WAP. So this is what everybody that knows about this network will use to log in. So outsiders will not know because they do not have the passphrase and it is not being broadcasted. All right. For the password to log in into the WAP, what changes would you make? So look at this. Based on this, they choose WPA2 pre-shared key. Why? Because this passphrase is pre-shared. Everybody is using the password. It is pre-shared. Why did they pick WPA pre-shared? Because that is weaker than, or is less of standard than WPA2. Why did they pick WEP? That is deprecated. That security mode is deprecated. That is why we now have WPA and WPA2. It means that it is very weak now. It can be compromised easily. WEP, right? So they choose WPA. Why did they choose WAP Enterprise? Now this is still within like an internet network that is not, you know, using so much within a large area in an organization. So WPA Enterprise will not be used because you are not using it for the Department of Finance is not using the same. The Department of, you know, it might just be this kind of setting might just be within the Department of let's say the marketing department alone, right? So you don't need to use WPA Enterprise, right? So this is the changes you make to, you know, be able to configure some of these things. So yeah, there are others, there are more. You can actually go through it yourself and then get familiar with some of these things. This is not what you will see in the exam, but this is just like an addendum, a similitude of what you're going to be seeing. This is very interesting. You know, they even ask questions, you know, MAC address filtering. You know, this is when you do MAC address filtering, this is when you don't want a host that has not been registered, a host that has not been registered within a network to actually connect to a certain wireless access point. That is when you will do a MAC address filter. It means that every host that is connected to that wireless access point will be filtered. The IP address, no, not IP address, the MAC address will be filtered and then be compared with, the MAC address that have been, you know, pre-filled and pre-registered on the wireless access point. And if you cannot find it on the table, on the MAC table for filtering, it will drop that MAC address. Just like firewall will work, just like the firewall rule will work, right? Very interesting stuff. And as Nanbaan has said, these things make you very knowledgeable and makes you an authority in the industry. You know, the knowledge is there when they tell you, okay, well, explain what's this diagram, what it is. You have something to say, even though you don't know everything, you'll still be able to say something, right? All right, so that is performance based, very interesting stuff. All right, so I don't know. The floor is open now. Oh, all right. So let me just show you before I open the floor, right? Let me just show you how the app, like the website for the app that there is this thing that Nanbaan is talking about. Let me show you the website, how it looks like. All right, so let me share my screen. Nope, not entire screen. All right. It's gonna be showing now. All right, so this is you see, you can see this, right? So this is the website of Daryl Gibson, where he has other apps too. It's not only Security Plus. If you want to do CISSP, you see, you can just click here. It will take you to where you can download the app. If you want to do certified cybersecurity practitioner, what's this? I think something like that. All right, so if you want to do so, but this is what is our concern. So you can download it on Apple Store, Google Play. This is the interface, the graphical user interface. Very, very, very important. This will really help. It was a lifesaver. Like Nanbaan said, lifesaver. It was really helpful. You know, you have flashcards, you have very helpful stuff. You know, in fact, the way the questions were curated, it was almost when I got to the exam, almost the same thing with some of the questions, not verbatim, but like the strategy, the techniques that was used to create the question. So this will really help you, sincerely. It will really help you. So this is it. Don't worry. There is a Word document in the drive. The folder will be sharing where the link is there, and even Professor Messa's CompTIA 601 training course on YouTube the link is there. We made it very easy for you. This is what some people that will watch later on YouTube will not be able to get, right? So of course. Right, so yeah, let me stop sharing my screen. So the floor is open. If you have questions, you want to ask me, you want to ask Nanbaan, you have something to say, the link to the site.
I have two questions.
All right, go ahead, please.
So thank you very much for organizing this. This is really great. The first question was when you did the introduction at the beginning of the meet, where you said you give us all your what qualifies you for what you do and who you are and all that. But you said that you just wrote the security exam last month. I'm wondering, how were you able to accomplish all this as a third-party risk management, a security this, a security that, and you only just wrote your exam last month? Like, there's a disconnect for me there. I'm trying to understand it. That's the question number one. And then, because I actually thought that, for you to probably excel or do anything, for me, that's what's holding me. Equally a third-party risk management right now, but I'm not practicing because I haven't written my certificate examination, and that's kind of like a bummer on my part. So when I heard you say that, that's like a little conflicting for me based on what I've heard. So I would like some clarification on that. And then the second question would be on the simulation examples that you gave, the performance based questions. Number two, I think, no, the first one for number one, I would have thought that on the second column, it would be UDP, because it says, because you just, based on your explanation, you said UDP was a weaker version of TCP. And then the question was talking about secure and insecure. Why do you have TCP on both? And then the second one would be for this, again, the second simulation question, where it says POP3 and IMAP 4. I would think that the port numbers for POP3 was 995, and then the port number for IMAP was 993. But on the port numbers, they have different numbers. Can you explain that, please? I don't know if my questions make sense.
So yeah, very clear. the first question. How was I able to manage? All right, yeah, third-party risk analyst. That's a normal job that every other person do, right? So, of course, please mute yourself if you're not speaking, right? That is what every other person, like just a normal job that every other person do. So it's just about time management and setting goals, right? Understanding yourself. I know myself. I know how I study. I know what works for me. You know, I've studied myself to know what time do I assimilate best. I have my working hours, right? How do I schedule, time management? How do I schedule my studies? How do I schedule my, learning period? I don't put it when I'm supposed to be working, and then just purely time management, and then putting your mind to what exactly you want to do and setting a goal was what really helped me. There's nothing you cannot achieve, even without whatever, how busy you are. I don't think anybody is too busy to do whatever they want to do. It's just a matter of priorities. How do you prioritize? You have tasks, you have deliverables. How do you prioritize? How do you manage your time? It differs. I can't just give you what, like, my own time management, strategy might not work for you, right? We are different, and the way I set my goals might not work for you. We are different, right? The kind of energy I have, another person might not have it. The kind of energy another person has, I might not have it. I can tell you, I hardly sleep during the period of preparation for the exam. I hardly sleep because the job was, but I won't be saying this outside. Of course, people don't need that part, right? I can't be going around and say, oh, I passed the exam, but I hardly sleep. It's not necessary. It's not needed, right? So there were prices to pay, right? The exam is just once. It's just once, right? So given that timeline that I've set for myself, I needed to just pay the price, and then couple with, now I'm not writing any exam, so I'm back to my normal timing and normal day to day, the way I manage my time and the rest. But because I wanted to write the exam, I had to change some of my time management scheme and strategies, and that was what really helped me, right? As a third-party risk analyst, the knowledge is needed. I know they will tell you need to do CSA, you need to do C-risk, and the rest of that. But I would advise anybody that is just starting. I don't have like 5 years experience in third-party risk. I just have like 6 months to like 7 months experience now in third-party. That was not what I was doing before, right? 6 to 7 month experience now. So I believe Security Plus exam will give you like that basic understanding, intermediate understanding of touching every area domain of cybersecurity for you to understand, because the knowledge is actually needed even in third party, because when you are assessing an organization or a business, you need the knowledge of every domain that even Security Plus touched, of course. So yeah, so that is my answer to the first question. I hope I've been able to answer your question. Number two, you're talking about the force performance base. UDP, I said, is connectionless, right? And then port 80 is for HTTP, port 443 is for HTTPS. Those two protocols are connection-oriented protocol. So they use TCP, both. They are connection-oriented. For both HTTP and HTTPS, there must be a three-way handshake to happen for them to be able to connect, for them to have a successful connection. And that is why they use the TCP protocol to make their connection. So UDP is a no, because that is not a connectionless, right? UDP is a no. UDP can go for DNS. Yes, DNS. UDP can go for DNS, and there are some other services that run on UDP, right? So then the second one, you said IMAP. So let's just confirm. Google is our friend. IMAP 4 port number.
I think it's 993. Am I tripping?
No, it's not. It's not.
It's not.
143. Yes,
143.
it's not. You can check it yourself.
Wow.
Yes. It's 143. That is why.
Okay.
That is why you need to actually know your port numbers very well. And based now, why you are saying 993 is because just the way we have FTP, that we have 20 and 21, right? 20 for command control, 21 for sending, right? The same way we have IMAP 4, 143 for unencrypted connections, right? And 993 for TLS encrypted connections. But if they ask you IMAP without mentioning if the connection is encrypted, the best to use is just 143, except it was stated specifically that the connection for the traffic that is coming is encrypted, or the traffic that is coming is encrypted. So generally, when you ask for, oh, what is the port number of IMAP, you don't mention 993, you mention 143. You can confirm online. Then what port number are you saying again?
Okay, I see. Based on your explanation now, I see where I got confused. The other one was IMAP for SSL and TLS, and then the second one I said was POP3. I see what you're saying. So the POP3 that I said was 995 was POP3 TLS SSL, but the one that was stated on the simulation question was just POP3, which is yes. Okay, so that was my confusion. So is okay, that those are ways to just differentiate. One is TLS SSL and one is just regular POP3.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, gotcha.
That is. Yeah. All right, any other question?
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Good evening, Celestine.
Yeah, apologies. I think the question she was asking for the first one was, I think you've been in the field for a long time. Why are you just writing the exam last month?
Oh,
That's one.
oh, all right. Why am I just writing the exams, right? Okay, so the first reason is I'm an educator, right? If I want to teach anything, if I want to train anybody, I train people. I do one-on-one session with people, and some people, they want to write Security Plus. Now, it's not as if I cannot teach Security Plus without writing the exam. But how do I guarantee people that I know what I'm teaching them if I do not take the exam? I don't know if you get it now.
Yes,
if I do not take the exam, right? The evidence to show that I'm an authority in Security Plus is by showing them my result and says, look at it. I've done this thing. So whatever I tell you is what it is because I've experienced it. That was why I actually go for the exam. In fact, I wrote CC exam as basic as CC is. That's certified in cybersecurity, the ICS2, right? As basic as it is, I wrote it. You know why? Because I want to teach others how to also pass it. And that was why the first masterclass I did was on CC, because a lot of people were confused. Some people that were just transitioning into cybersecurity, who were looking for answers they could not find, right? So sometimes we write some of these exams, not, of course, the industry requires it, but I didn't even have Security Plus before I got my first job, before I got my second job, before I got my third job.
Please, my second question is on the performance-based, I think I got a bit confused. The IP address showed 192.0.2.10. Then in the answer, you went back by saying 192.0.2.10/32.
That's subnetting. Subnetting. Now they use slash. Subnetting. You need to go and read about it, please. Now in the exam, they won't tell you to slash it, except if in the instruction they gave you the CIDR. You get. If they don't give you in the instruction, just go ahead and use the IP address like that. Right?
Okay.
Yes. Just go ahead and use the IP address like that. If they do not give you the CIDR, the subnet for the IP address, which they most likely will not give you. My exam, I was just giving a normal, IP address and then say just go on And yeah. All right.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hello,
Please,
hello, please, I have another
Madam.
question before you go.
Okay, Oladapo, please go ahead.
Please, I'm sorry. The question I want to ask is related to ISC, please. Could I go ahead?
Please, ISC, look, go and watch the video, please.
Oh no, I have a total different question, please. Please give me the chance to be about it. I beg of you.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, please. I was supposed to write the exam 3 days ago. I'm in the UK. So when I got there, I went there with my international passport, my Nigerian passport, which had a signature, and I also went there with my residential permit over here. That one doesn't have a signature on it. I was actually stopped from writing the exam, and so I have called them, I have mailed them, and I was given a case number which I'm hoping to hear from them next week. But at the same time, I want to know if you have any idea or if you've heard of any similar case before and how to do about it.
You can use your ATM as a second. Just sign at the back of your. I think because your permit. Did your permit carry your signature?
No, it doesn't have my signature. But now I have missed the exam already.
Oh, you've written the exam already?
No, I missed it. I was not
you
allowed.
Missed it.
Yes, I was not allowed to write on that particular day. So that's why.
You need to message. I'll paste the email address here. You need to message this the ISC's member support email.
Okay.
Let me see. Member. Yes, I'll copy it and send it to the group now. All right. Member support. All right, I'm pasting it now. So you have to message them, explain. Please don't leave any stone unturned. Explain, give very concise and accurate explanation of what really happened. So they will help it, they will take it up from there.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Please, what's your name? I'm not seeing your name. Please, you are raising up your hand. Go ahead and speak, madam. Oh, all right. All right. Okay. You can take the exam online. For Security Plus, you can take the exam from the comfort of your home. Right? You don't need to go to a register center. You can take it from I took my own from my house, and Nanbaan also took her own from the comfort of her home. So yes, you can take it from your house. All right. So do we have any contribution, any question again? All right. Madam Tobike, go ahead.
Yes. Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I just want to ask about the payment type. You know, I understand that we can't use our Nigerian cards to pay for USD any longer. Yeah. So how do you do the payment, and how much is it now?
All right. I think it was, my own was $384. I do not know how much it is now. We can confirm. Then $384 as of last year that my own was, you know. Then you can use, if you have a friend in US that has a dollar card, credit card, they can help you pay. Nigeria is, I don't know. I don't want to say anything here. They can help you pay. I have a brother in US, right? It helps me do some of those transactions with his credit card, right? So I think that's the best way. You know, if you have maybe in US, UK, you can just send the equivalent to them, and then they will help you pay. Then there is this app, Tribal Pay. Tribal Pay, of course, is a new fintech app for transactions. They just started, and then they've really done well when it comes to giving dollar cards. So they can give you a dollar card, right? A physical dollar card, right? But I think for now it's still virtual. They are still in the process of giving people the physical one. So you can actually convert your Naira to dollar and then save it. in their own dollar wallet, and then you can use it to pay. And people have testified that they've used that. They are, fintech have not used it. People have used it that have testified. And yeah, you can try Tribal Pay and see if it works. If it doesn't, then you may need to actually contact a friend in the US that will help you to pay for it. Thank you. All right. I think I've been able to answer our questions. If there's no other question, I think I've dropped the link to the document, the drive. Where is it again? I dropped it. All right, I will just drop it again in case. Right. So that is the link again. Yeah, thank you.
Is the what's it called, the one that you showed us earlier on Daryl Gibson, the app on Play Store, Apple Store, is that free or is that a paid service on the Lenzy app?
Actually, yeah, it's free to an extent.
To
if you want full questions, yeah, to an extent, you just pay very small, small money, right? Just like subscription per week, per month, anyone you like. But I didn't pay, actually. I used the free feature. So I used the free feature, and so it's really helpful. But if you really want a very much more questions than the one they offered for the free, you can actually pay. Right? But of course, you can use the free. Right? Please, the app, you can get it from the link. I think I just shared the link now. Daryl Gibson. You can get it from the link. Yes. All right. So, so thank you for coming, everyone. It's been a wonderful experience, and we'll do more of this. I think the next masterclass I'll be hosting will be PEC. Is it PEC? Yeah, PECB lead pen tester. We'll be having a guest too. I've not written the exam, but I have somebody that have written the exam, and come on, she aced the exam. She even passed beyond my expectation based on the score she had. Right. So yeah, this is recorded and will be uploaded on Digital Security Village. Let me paste Digital Security Village YouTube link. Please, everybody, like, subscribe to the YouTube. We'll be uploading every of the masterclass. You might not need those masterclass now, maybe because you have not taken some of the exams, but in the future, of course, you will need the masterclass. What we are trying to do is to help you look beyond just reading and just studying one material, and show you some strategies that can also work beyond just studying a material or reading a material. Right. So that is what some of this masterclass. That's why it is a masterclass. It's not a training course, of course. Right. So I will just post the channel. Please, everybody, subscribe, check other videos. Like, we also do boot camp, Digital Security Village. The last boot camp we had was mind blowing. That was digital investigation bootcamp. The next bootcamp we'll be having is bug hunting bootcamp to coming up in December, and the next one the first one we'll be having in 2023 is going to be GRC bootcamp. I think somebody suggested that during the last bootcamp, and yeah, we'll be adopting that GRC, and I will be taking third-party risk management myself, and we have other aspects of GRC, right? All right, yeah, thank you so much for coming, and have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, a wonderful day, wonderful evening, a wonderful afternoon, wherever you're connecting from. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you so much. You've been great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Segun. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Amen. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, please don't forget to send us the thing on Google Drive.
It's on the chat,
Okay,
I
yeah,
guess.
it's on the chat. You can check the chat, but I might not be able to send it to our emails because it's not everybody that is here. So it's on the chat. Before you leave, please copy it, please. I beg us. Copy the link. I've sent it to the chat. It's here. Please copy it.
Okay, I've seen it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
There's some time waiting to get